Okay, I am sorry. I am not really gonna go into depth that much on this one because I really don't like this one. I don't know. It's just kind of an ugly problem, or at least it's an ugly solution. But I really just don't like. I feel like a lot of these problems, do the math in a string, and I don't know. I think it's just kind of repetitive to interpret strings into it's tedious. That's the best word I can come for it. But anyway, given a string expression representing an expression of fraction, addition, and subtraction, return the calculation result in string format. The final result should be an irreducible fraction. If your final result is an integer, change it to the format of a fraction that has the denominator 1. So in this case, 2 should be converted to 2 over 1. Okay, so we'll have like minus 1/2, negative 1/2 plus 1/2 should output 0 over 1. So you see what I'm saying? It's kind of tedious, like, to have to deal with those kind of constraints. I think it's annoying. So I already have this one done. I did get some help for this one, but, I don't care. But, yeah. But regardless, I'm going to explain how it works. So to calculate the fraction addition, you're going to need to calculate the greatest common denominator, and then that's going to help you calculate the least common multiple, and then that's going to help you calculate the denominator that will result in the lowest common, in the what's it called, an irreducible fraction, because you'll have it down to the lowest. When you add them all together, you can use the LCM to figure out what the denominator should be at the end, and then adjust the numerators accordingly. What we're going to do is we're going to make two arrays of numerators and denominators, and we're going to add those all up and handle them separately. So we're going to iterate through the string one character at a time. And this loop might seem a little bit weird at first, but it'll make sense in a second. You're going to iterate through with a while loop. Now you could do a for loop if you wanted. It would be the same thing. But basically we're just going to be incrementing the I value as we go on manually based on a few certain conditions. So we're going to be inching our way through it and recognizing when we see a sign, when we see a numerator, when we see the divisor symbol, and when we see a denominator. And then once we go through all of those, then if there's more left, then it'll be another fraction. So we start by checking to see if we get any sign. So we check to see, all right, is it a plus or a minus? If it is, then we check to see if it's a minus, and we set a little toggle so that we can multiply it by -1 to set it to a negative number later. And then we do I plus 1 afterwards to inch our way along. If it's not a plus 1, then I will stay at 0. So we're still, now when we get to extracting the numerator, we haven't inched along one character because we still need to process that first character. It's the difference. If it starts with -1/2, the first character for that is going to be the negative. But if it's just 1/2, then we don't want to say, okay, if expression I is in plus or minus, we only want to move along if it is a plus or minus, because otherwise we want to stay where we are so that we can interpret that numerator. All right. So now here's the weird thing. Now these constraints, I don't like them because it's the range 1 to 10. I don't actually know if that's 10 inclusive, but I'm just going to assume it is for safety. I think that it would be a little bit more clear, but I think it makes sense 1 to 10. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But what you're going to do is you're going to iterate through the numbers until you reach something that's not a number. And since we're going through the numerator, then that means that we're going to iterate through the string until we reach the divisor symbol, the divide symbol, the slash. So we have this to make sure that we don't accidentally reach the end of the string. And we have this to make sure that we're maintaining looking at numbers. This will never go more than once or more than twice, because what we're going to do is we're going to say numerator is numerator times 10 plus whatever the current digit is. And what that means is that if, say we had like 10, all right, so the first digit is going to be 1, and then we say 1 times 10 plus 0 would be the second digit, so we have 10. Okay, so that's how we can add up the numbers, by multiplying it by 10 to get the right place for all the digits. And then we inch along for every character that we add. All right, we factor back in the sign, and yeah, then we move on from there. We add one more, we iterate one more time through the string to skip past the slash, and now we do the same thing for the denominator, and then we append those numerators and denominators to the thing so that we can calculate them at the end. Well, to our two arrays so that we can calculate them at the end, and then we go back through and do the same thing until we reach the end of the string, because remember, n is the length of the expression. So once I is greater than or equal to n, then that means we have reached the end. Okay, so now we just need to calculate the denominator. So we're going to just use that lowest common denominator method to calculate out the denominator with the denominators that we've held. So we're going to basically compile it over time by taking the least common denominator being the first we're going to take the first denominator, then we're going to iterate through the rest, and we're going to use the least common multiple between the cumulative least common denominator or lowest common denominator and each thing. So we're basically accumulating up that LCD. All right, now we have the result numerator. Okay, so for that, let's see. I'm sorry, I'm out of it. Okay, we're going to sum up the numerators, and we're going to multiply it by that least common denominator divided by the denominator that is related to that numerator. Okay. Yeah, it just, I'm really sorry. I don't have the energy to go more into it. It's just, that's fraction. That's how you had fractions. And then finally, we just simplify it by using the greatest common denominator to get the smallest possible divisor, and then divide the numerator by that. And then we just print it out formatted as such. Making sure, and we do that so that, even if the LCD is 1, we still get blank over 1. It's not just, if it's 2 over 1, we want to print out 2 over 1, because this problem is annoying. I don't like it. Yeah, that's the problem. Thanks for watching. Sorry, I'm really not on the ball today, but I don't like this one. All right, see ya.